Hey, Adrenalheads, I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And Steve's back with us. And we are covering on this particular podcast, on this particular episode of the podcast, we're doing The Running Man of 2025. And the synopsis, Steve.
Sure. In the near future, The Running Man is the top-rated show on television, a deadly competition where contestants must survive 30 days while being hunted by professional assassins. Desperate for money to save his sick daughter, Ben Richards is convinced by the show's ruthless producer to enter the game as a last resort. Ratings soon skyrocket as Ben's defiance, instincts, and grit turn him into an unexpected fan favorite as well as a threat to the entire system.
Yeah. And as all of you know who are Gen Xers that lived throughout the 80s, you already saw an Arnie film, an Arnold Schwarzenegger film that was done in this, format as well. This was definitely a movie that was created from the mind of Stephen King. It was a short novella, as you would say, Steve. And it was under the title or character
the pen name Richard Bachman.
Yeah. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah. And I thought that was interesting that they actually used Stephen King's name in the credits based on on the novella, or I can't remember how the credits worded it, if they said novel or novella. But yeah, it was interesting when I saw Stephen King's name pop up. I was like, oh, he didn't use, but I mean, everybody knows that it's Stephen King. They know that.
Yeah. They know.
Yeah. And if they didn't before, they were stupid. I mean, not stupid, but I mean, like, I think at this point it's been, I don't think he's written under that pen name in so long. And he probably only did it, in the 80s because he wanted to separate from his horror novels and stuff. So
yeah. He did different seasons, which was a mini novella that had several different stories. It had The Body, which was originally called The Stand. He had done a whole bunch of other stories based upon that were actually put in
Stand By Me. You mean The Body was Stand By Me?
Yeah, The Body was Stand By Me. Yes.
Right. The Stand was that's a whole different.
The Stand was a different one. That was actually Stephen King back in the 70s.
Yeah.
But with that, we're going to move into people we may know within the film so we could get started on this particular podcast about this particular movie. So you want to start us off with the first person?
Sure. Glenn Thomas Powell Jr. Is an American actor, producer, screenwriter, and stunt performer. Powell started his career with small roles in films like Spy Kids, 3D, Game Over, and Fast Food Nation. He's known for his roles in Top Gun Maverick, Red Wing, and Hidden Figures, for which he won a Screen Actors Guild Award. Other films would include Anyone But You, Hitman, and Twisters, which I had forgotten that he was the main guy in Twisters, and I spaced on. I guess he was Goose's son in Maverick in Top Gun.
No.
He was one of the other flyers.
What was it?
Okay, he was one of the other guys. He wasn't the main guy.
He wasn't the main guy.
Okay, he was one of the other pilots.
It was Niles Teller. I forget his name.
Right, you're right. Niles Teller played Goose's kid, right?
And then he was one of the other guys. But you know, it's like Glenn Powell is always that. Like he seems to be the go-to guy now. Yeah, because he's got the look, the charm, and everything that you can see for maybe an action thriller or dramatic or comedic kind of role.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch some more stuff that he's been in because I thought he did a good job.
I thought so too, and he's not bad on the eyes for the ladies, and he's definitely a guy's guy when he plays these roles in these films. So check that out. Just go to your IMDb, everybody, and just check out the other movies he's been in, and just put that on your Netflix queue and you'll be happy. Probably a lot of the women will. I trust you. Anyhow, next up would be Amelia Jones as Amelia Williams in the film. And Amelia Jones is a British actress. She is best known for her role as a child of deaf adults in the drama film Coda, if you'll remember that, for which she received a British Academy Film Award nomination for Best Actress. Other films that she's been in, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides in 2011. I really did enjoy that film. A lot of people don't like that particular film, but I do. Brimstone in 2016, and shows like Utopia from 2013 to 2014, and something our friends on podcast love, Lock and Key from 2020
okay.
to 2022. So yeah, I still have yet to get into Lock and Key. That's something I'm going to dive into, everybody.
It's good. It takes some. It's good. I like it.
It's based on a comic, everybody. So hence why me and Steve are interested in the idea, because Pounds to Pixels podcast. Yeah.
We could do it eventually. I watched it, but it's been a number of years since I watched it. Next is Lee Pace. He played Evan McCone, or Chief Hunter McCone. Lee Grimmer Pace is an American actor, also known for his roles in film, television, and theater. He's known for his ability to blend comedy and drama, and has starred in projects like the ABC series Pushing Daisies, the Marvel film Guardians of the Galaxy, and the Tony-winning play Angels in America. He developed an interest in acting in high school after health issues forced him to give up competitive swimming. Other films, The Hobbit trilogy, the Twilight series, and TV's Halt and Catch Fire and Foundation from 2021 until now. I totally spaced on who this guy was when he took his mask off. I could have swore I thought it was Colin Farrell, and I was like, is that Colin Farrell? It doesn't, you'd think there'd be a bigger, I didn't see his name in the credits, and so I had to look it up later on IMDb, and lo and behold, it wasn't Colin Farrell. So
yeah, Lee Pace has been around for a long time, and I was a huge fan of Halt and Catch Fire back in the day. You could still find that on AMC Plus for you listeners if you want to. It's the early days of computers and how it, worked through from like 46 computers and on. And it's a really good series. Lee Pace is just, for like I said before, with Glenn Powell, he's a handsome man. So a lot of women will love to see him, but he is very gifted as doing the characters that he does, especially with Guardians of the Galaxy, definitely Halt and Catch Fire, the Twilight series as well, and you've seen him in many other films, so check that out. Next up would be David Zayas. Oh, he is not new to us here on the Pirate Core Entertainment. So David Zayas plays Richard Manuel in this particular movie, and David Zayas is a Puerto Rican actor known for his roles in television, film, and theater. He's best known for his portrayal of Angel Batista, or Angel, as somebody used to call him in the show. In the Showtime series Dexter, New Blood, and Dexter Resurrection, which we actually did cover on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network when Becky was doing What's On Tonight when we did Dexter Resurrection. He also played Enrique Morales in the HBO prison drama Oz from 1997 to 2003, which I have yet to watch. Everybody keeps telling me I need to watch that. I really need to. Zayas has appeared in many other television shows, including Gotham, which is amazing. Everybody check out TV Podcast Industries with their coverage of it. Bloodline, Blue Bloods, FBI, and Pose. And it's so funny that he always plays a cop.
He does have that face. Next is Coleman Domingo. He played Bobby Thompson. Coleman Jason Domingo is an American actor prominent on both screen and stage since the 2010s. Domingo has received various accolades, including a Primetime Emmy Award and nominations for 2 Academy Awards and 2 Tony Awards. Time magazine named him one of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2024. His shows include Fear the Walking Dead, his voice is in your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney Plus, and movies like Candyman, The Color Purple, and 42. And he has very soft hands. I met him at a convention a few years ago, and he shook my hand. He has very soft hands.
Yes.
I don't know why that stood out to me, but he was very touchy with his handshake.
Well, also he's a pleasant man to talk to.
Yes,
he loves
yeah.
to give hugs, everybody. So if you go to a convention, he is so open and loving of his fans. So I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity to go meet him before he gets super popular and he gets an Oscar and then he can't be there anymore. Do it.
Yeah.
So
he's a good guy.
Next up would be Michael Cera, and he plays Elton Parakis. Michael Austin Cera is a Canadian actor, producer, musician, singer, and songwriter. And he began his career as a child actor and is best known for his roles as George Michael Bluth in Arrested Development, which is so funny because that's my go-to of watching something and having it on in the background. I love that show. And for his film roles in Juno, if you all remember that, Superbad, which is awesome. It's a great movie. That was his pivotal role, in my opinion. That's where I mostly know him from. And Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is amazing, which we did cover on Panels to Pixels podcast, which our friends Paik, Ben, and a couple of others did. And they did that. So check that out. You know, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Sarah has also appeared in This Is the End, which was an all-star cast with James Franco, Seth Rogen, and a whole bunch of people. It's pretty interesting and fun, a little bit extreme. Magic, and Jamie.
Finally, we have Josh Brolin played Dan Killian. Josh James Brolin is an American actor who works in film, television, stage, and voice acting. Brolin is the son of actor James Brolin, but grew up in rural Templeton, California, away from Hollywood. He has been nominated for Academy Awards, Critics' Choice Movie Awards, Independent Spirit Awards, and Screen Actors Guild Awards. His movies include The Goonies, No Country for Old Men, Deadpool, and Deadpool 2, the Avengers series as Thanos, and so much more. Yeah, we've Josh Brolin has been a mainstay for.
Yes, yeah. There was like a very long hiatus of his career from the time that we last saw him in Goonies until like No Country for Old Men at one point, and he'd done a few little things, but ever since he came back, it's amazing. He didn't. It was a Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez movie with Grindhouse. It was called the Grindhouse films. And he had done one of those films. And I thought, wow, he could play a menacing character. So he has his depth as far as an actor, and I really do appreciate him. All right. So we didn't want to go into everybody in the cast because we'd be here for days, everybody. So we just spotlighted the who you might know and just gravitate to like we always do. So with that, we're going to move on and talk about the original movie that was based off the book, and then a little bit about the book and the movie altogether and the differences between them. So before we get into deep dives and everything. So I did do some research. So Steve, if you want to read the first one about the film and book differences.
Sure. I don't know if I totally agree with this first one, but I'll read it. A more heroic protagonist. You're talking from the book. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. This is a more heroic protagonist than the one in the book. I got you. Now I agree with that. Ben Richards is portrayed as a more heroic and less abrasive figure in the 2025 version compared to the 1982 novel, where he was a rougher character with racist and sexist tendencies. Yeah, I don't remember a lot about the novel, but again, as it was written in 1982, you got to
with King's writing, it's very abrasive, everybody.
Yeah, and it's a sign of the times. It was the 80s,
it is. And I took that with a grain of salt when I read it back, and wow, it had to be about 1985 when I read it by that point. So that was 3 years after, and about a couple of years short from the movie make that they did.
I didn't read the novella until after the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie came out. So I actually saw the Schwarzenegger movie first.
Hmm.
Then I read
Which is
the book.
completely different, everybody. So if you've
Yes.
never read the novel or novella, do go out there and do so. I know there's a lot of stuff going around about Stephen King, and then how people are trying to blacklist him and all this other stuff. Books are books. You know, creativity is creativity. Uh, Use your own best judgment. But honestly, like Steve had said, it's based upon the times, and things are going to come up, whether it be racist or not. But the thing is, there are other books that are within that time that came out that were for the time about like what 40, 50 years previous that used words that we're not supposed to talk about now.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, so just
There's a lot of that from
if
the
you want to
70s
be
and 80s.
entertained and you want to read something that's interesting, this is actually a pretty decent novel. So check it out.
It is. I remember, and I want to find it again and reread it just to refamiliarize myself with it. But
Yeah. To continue on with that, updated for modern audiences, the 2025 adaptation updates the protagonist to be more openly heroic and easier for modern audiences to root for. Yeah. The character, as I recall in the book, was more abrasive, very in your
Okay.
face, which is a departure from the original book's version of the character. And if you look at the Arnold Schwarzenegger version, uh, he
It's
has a
just different. It's just different. He's
it's
not
very
yeah.
different. He was more of like a military man that was set up for a fall, and in the book, he was doing this for a reason. And
Yeah.
it wasn't for the it's not like Squid Games the challenge where he was doing this for all the big money and then chose.
Yeah, I don't know Squid Games, so you're just talking Greek to me now.
Okay.
I didn't.
Oh.
But
For
I mean,
those who you do. No.
Yeah, like I said, the book. This is why I like this version a lot, because it does take it back to that root of he was doing it for his wife and daughter.
Correct.
You know, which I like. Which the Arnold Schwarzenegger version completely cut out. You know, it had him.
Yeah, they completely cut it out.
He was a cop who got arrested, who got sent to whatever prison, and they or military, like you said, a military guy got sent to prison and ends up breaking out of prison and then getting captured again so that he can be on this show. Yeah, you know, it's just different that the 19 whatever it was 87 movie 87 something like that.
It was 87. Yeah.
87. Yeah. It takes the general concept of the novel and makes it into a more commercialized version, like we were talking about before we started recording, with a lot of wrestlers in it, and it's much more flashy and
yeah, a lot of flamboyancy,
but not quite as a lot of flamboyant stuff in there, and
it doesn't really virtue into the real world. In that particular movie, they get a point where you got Mick Fleetwood holding a group of people in that original film with Schwarzenegger, where he gets away, but everybody's still looking in this dystopian place. So they try to put dystopia in that particular film where things are like everybody is centered around their TV and watching the game show or the show. And he had escaped narrowly, and they're there to help him to take down the network and what has happened and show them the lies. Whereas with this one, no, he is out there just to play the game, which is really cool. But also within this particular movie, and we'll get into a little bit more, they utilize his personal life as a way to manipulate him to some degree, very similar to the book. But keep in mind, everybody, as you're listening to this, if you read the book, that was 1982. So they didn't have the technology and everything that we have now back then. So they used a little bit of different things to manipulate him during that time, which they deemed as future events or future technology. Whereas now we've advanced so much that, you could just, walk through an airport and you could get your face identified and
Yeah, and but it was really, like I said, it was it predicted a lot of this reality, the rise of reality TV and other
Hmm.
things, this kind of stuff. It really did. The book, it predicted some technology. Like I was trying to describe it to some people earlier before I went to see it, and it was like, basically it was a version of GoPro cameras
Yeah.
that what Stephen King kind of predicted would be in the future, and we have those now. To
Yeah.
where
Body
if you
cameras.
yeah, there's a TV show called Alone, where those guys actually go out, they drop them out in the wilderness, and they have the same
Oof.
kind of thing. They have these satellite phones, and they have these GoPro cameras that they have to send back, that they get sent back into the network so they can watch these guys over several episodes. But that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, he predicted quite a bit of technology, and it's interesting to see how they adapted it for this movie, which I
Yeah.
thought was really good.
And it always makes me think of, like, with Star Trek, with everything with tricorders and everything else.
Mhm.
We have these smartphones, everything else. Everything is really amounting up to science fiction has become reality
Yeah,
as we've gotten older. And that was done in the 60s. Now
right.
it's
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
well, here we are, right?
Right.
All right, so this is where we move on into general thoughts of the movie. Did you find it appealing? Did you like it? Entertained? Were there certain things that you didn't like about the movie? And we could go
Yeah,
from there.
I really enjoyed it. I did, and I read a few of the reviews after I saw it, and I think I realized that the reason that this is getting disappointing reviews and getting kind of a
Mm,
disappointing following is because people were expecting an Edgar Wright movie, not expecting a just out and out action
correct.
movie, which is what this is. This is a great action movie. That my only criticism, that has some sub point criticisms with it, is that I feel the ending felt rushed to
Yes,
me.
I
I
felt
felt
the
like
same way.
if they'd ended it at the plane exploding, right? They could have ended the movie right there, and they could have done a whole nother movie
Hmm.
uh, to cover those 15-20 minutes at the end,
Hmm.
because he does a lot in those 15-20 minutes after the plane explodes,
Hmm.
that you could have, like I said, you could have a whole nother movie. He goes out, he survives the plane crash, he finds his wife, he somehow hooks up with the underground, the underground network that had helped him out at the beginning.
Hmm.
The preacher, the whatever that he called himself, the preacher, not the preacher guy, he called him the prophet.
Yes.
He hooks back up with them. He finds his wife in child. He gets them somehow out of harm's way. Again, a whole bunch of stuff like I said, could have been a whole nother movie. I felt like at the end,
Yeah.
um, that could have covered, the whole Ben Richards lives. They could have done a Running Man 2, is Ben Richards alive?
Mm.
The whole thing. And so that's really my main, and the fact that the Laughlin girl, not Laughlin, the Amelia Williams, she jumps out, she gets thrown out of the airplane, and we don't know anything more about her. You
Yeah.
know,
She just
we
like
never.
disappears.
Yeah, she just disappears from the movie. I don't know if she survived. Did she die? Is she the one that found the black box? Because I kind of had a suspicion when they just said some female found the black box. There at the very end, there's a quick clip of that. Again, there's all these things that they could have done that I think would have been amazing,
Hmm.
but they rushed through to get to that pivotal moment where he faces Killian, where Coleman Domingo walks off the stage, and then he faces down Killian
Hmm.
there at the very end. They wanted that. They wanted that confrontation. They
Yes.
wanted that. Like the Arnold
Schwarzenegger version.
Schwarzenegger movie. Yeah, the Schwarzenegger version where he confronts Killian.
Yeah. Richard
And it's
Dawson.
just Richard Dawson. Yeah. Well, that's the kind of, I kind of like what they did here. Again, this goes back to the book,
Hmm.
but the Schwarzenegger version took that character of Killian and kind of combined the host with the network executive, and here
Exactly.
we get the two separate characters.
Yeah,
of
the
one is the
face of
host.
it. One is the host, which is Coleman
Right.
Domingo, and the other one is Josh Brolin, who is the owner
Right.
of the network. Yeah,
Which I
And
thought I really love that they did that. So yeah,
that was
so
genius.
I mean, other than that, I absolutely I enjoyed it. It was a thrill. It felt like a thrill ride to
Hmm.
me. Every moment. The only again, and this is a minor criticism, is they kind of gave away a lot in the trailer.
Yes, they did. I remember seeing the trailers in the theater, and I'm like,
Um,
"Oh my god, this is amazing!" I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, this is
I
probably all the
watched.
best elements, right?"
Yeah, I watched the trailer the day before I went to the theater to see this, and I was like, "Oh, saw that in the trailer. Saw that in the trailer. Saw that."
Yeah,
It's
there's
just
no
like
hidden. There's
I
nothing
was just,
hidden, like
um,
no deception whatsoever.
yeah. But again, that's trailers nowadays. Sometimes they give too much away.
Well,
But no,
it's
I like I
yeah,
said,
it's
I
almost like
thoroughly
what
enjoyed
Rogue
it.
One, Rogue One back in the day, Star Wars film, Rogue One. They they put things that were fake and they never used in the film, so people went into the film going, "Well, where was that scene?"
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
now it's like, "Oh wait, we got that." That
yeah,
is so
yeah.
out of the blue. So it's kind of a switcheroo, but
Yeah, yeah, but like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely this is one that I'll definitely be if I don't get a chance to go back to the theater and see it
yeah,
again, I'll definitely be probably buying it
on
on physical
streaming
media
download. Yeah,
or physical media when it comes out because that's how much I want to be able to
to watch
watch
it.
this one again. Yeah, because like I said, I really enjoyed it, and I just wish at the end I wish they had either gone to a second movie or it was already over 2 hours. So it probably
Yeah,
wouldn't, I wouldn't want them to fit. It just felt that just ending just felt rushed
it
to
did
me.
feel
So
rushed if they give an extended or director's cut with something a little bit more
maybe there'll
extended
be
at the
something more
end.
that we can see.
That
Yeah.
would be
Hopefully.
greatly appreciated. So keep that in mind. The producers and directors out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I entered into this movie because when I first saw the trailer, I was okay, this seems as close to the book as possible that I
Hmm.
read, and
Yeah.
I had to watch it. I'm like, oh my God, we're getting exactly what I envisioned in my head, where people on the streets were involved within this game show and anybody could take part in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Same here. So,
and it reminded me of the lottery movie that came out not too long ago with John Cena and Aquafina, where she won the lottery, but the people that were on the street were also, it's like, hey, if you take her out, you win everything, but she can't do it for 24 hours. In this case, with the particular game show and the way it works, is they have 30 days to live at this point. I really enjoyed the fact that they had the other uh game participants in there
mhm.
too. The first one just died within a matter of hours or a
Yeah.
day or
Or
something like
days, couple
that.
of days in. Yeah.
And
Something like that.
then the woman just was like partied on like crazy and was able to elude and go through, whereas Ben had was able to get through it. And I'm like, okay, there's more of a challenge to this, and I really like that for the fact that they elongated the quality of the characters, how they are and who they are. And when it was just down to him, it got to that point where he utilized things that you didn't realize before that he had in his back pocket, where he could have
Mhm.
somebody help him change his looks, get new IDs, do this, lay low, stay in a hotel. He had to wear a mustache, then he wound up having to take the mustache off. Things of that nature, which really, and I enjoyed. And I'm like, oh, okay. They really went in depth with this in the sense of it's not your typical action. It's kind of like a thriller action espionage kind of movie. And I really enjoyed it in the sense that, like you said, as soon as it comes out for digital download, I'm gonna wind up purchasing it. I can't really be purchasing more and more physical media because I'll have like a DVD collection that will be a library and everything,
Yeah. I have a huge one already.
So
But
I try to avoid that at all costs, but I would definitely buy it and keep it. You have that licensing, you're able to watch it, and I highly recommend that to everybody else. Now, given the issues with its release, it made approximately 32.4 million globally with a domestic gross of 21.2 million. And the international gross at this point is 11.2 million. So the film had a strong opening weekend, earning 16.5 million, which when I saw that and I was going to go see it, I was like, oh, it didn't do as well as it should have, but it did have good popularity. And as far as the trailer, so I didn't make it, and I made it like 4 or 5 days later, and I was like, oh, okay, let me go see it. And I saw it one evening, and I was like, I really enjoyed it. I don't know
Yeah.
why. It just went on the wayside for a lot of people, but it has,
I think that's really it. Is a lot of people missed it because again, I think a lot of people were expecting more of an Edgar Wright type of movie, like a This Is the End, Shaun of the Dead
yeah,
kind of movie, and they weren't looking for a straight up action movie. So once word of mouth got out that it wasn't an Edgar Wright kind of thing, I think it kind of plummeted. But I think it'll find a good home on streaming.
I think so too.
And when it becomes available that way, I think we'll see an uptick with it. But you never know these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved William H. Macy's cameo.
Oh yeah.
They got rid of him too soon, I felt, but it was good to see him in there, and I loved the scene where they're interrogating. I love the scene where he's helping Ben, and then the scene where he was getting interrogated, by McCone. But
Yeah.
this was really, like I said, it was really good. It just a couple of little things that bothered me there at the end, but I can overlook that for a good rest of the movie.
The illusion in to go into general thoughts of the movie and things that I liked, just to continue on with that thought, because we kind of moved right in. The moment when he is having to realize he has to elude everybody through disguise was so very cool, because it kind of reminded me only pretty much almost like Total Recall. And not to coin another Schwarzenegger movie, but
Right.
he had to put something on to get away, to elude people, and especially with his different documentation and things of that nature. And I thought that was pretty cool. And then how he was trying to wait it out through that hotel, yeah, that seedy hotel. And you thought he was like, yeah, I got this in a bag, and that's like, no, it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like no matter what, you're always being watched by somebody, and it just blew my mind. So every moment where he had to move on was always thrilling, in the sense of like, how is he going to get out of this one?
Yeah.
And then
I mean, that was the thing. Like, I understood how they found him at the expensive hotel.
yes,
But then I never found the connection how they got to him from there to, this was another, I guess, kind of, maybe I missed something in there, but when he, because he throws the bag out the window,
yeah,
into the dumpster, and then I'm assuming, again, they didn't show him retrieving the backpack, but we know he gets it later. So maybe at some point somebody saw him. We just don't. Again, we see is the next scene. He's in this seedy hotel, and he's looking, or he gets the jacket from the guy, and he goes to that veterans hotel, and he's staying there in somebody's room. Maybe it was that guy's room. I couldn't follow how he got to that point, and how the hunters found him, because it was like all of a sudden they're outside the building.
yeah,
And I want to watch it again to particularly pay attention to that moment of if they show us how they found him at that kind of seedy veteran type hotel. Because that was the only part that was kind of confusing for me. And then of course when he survives and the black kid finds him, and they're like, you survived a live, whatever they called it, a live update. You're the first runner to ever survive a live update, was really cool.
yeah. And I love the fact that it's always media based still, and but within real time. That's really what got me in comparison to the Schwarzenegger one. You did have a lot of people in the Schwarzenegger version that was great, but this one stands alone based upon just like the book. And I really enjoyed that. The airport, well, the airplane scene with everything else that was going on with the action involved, that was a little bit, I have to suspend my disbelief with certain things within that scene. The fact that you get Lee Pace exposing himself at that point and showing who he is. He was a former runner at one point.
Yeah, he was the guy that survived the first season, who survived 29 days. and then joined the Hunters. We find out that I thought
Yeah.
that was a good twist, and I didn't remember that for the book. But when I watched a thing, or I read a thing that was comparing the book and this version of the movie, and I guess that is somewhere in the book.
Hmm.
Something about that's the same offer, that he gets the same offer, that Ben Richards gets the same offer that this guy was
Yeah.
given.
Yeah,
So
to be a hunter itself,
yeah,
and it's very much almost like what they did with the Schwarzenegger version too,
right,
because they saw it's like he's a badass according to
right.
Richard Dawson, Damon Killian, and of course within that particular film you had Jesse Ventura, Sven Thorson, Professor Tanaka, and I forgot who Gus Reiswish and Erlen Van Lith, who played Dynamo, the big, huge guy with the electricity, if
Mhm.
you'll remember that. That was over the top for that, in my opinion, with the
Yeah.
Hunter Killers. In this case, it was more militaristic
Hmm.
in this particular film, which made more sense of how they were trying to take him down. But he was very manipulative in a sense of being a chameleon and cloaking into his background, which is the cities and everything else, and
Hmm.
keeping low and out of sight. And it just sucks when people do recognize you, because he had that moments within the film where people are like, oh. It's like, no, no, no,
Hmm.
no. It's like he had to use somebody else's name, and it kind of almost backfired on him at one point. I like those near misses, those near calls of what's going to happen to him, where he's going to get taken out. And I really enjoyed that within the film itself, especially like we've already talked about the over the top, like I already said about the airplane and everything. A lot of things that happen within that airplane was a little bit extreme, but it is movie magic. It is action film thrills as they are, but there were certain moments within the film, certain scenes within the hotel area where he had to get out and break out and do all that stuff. I thought it became a little bit more realism in a sense of somebody trying to get away.
Hmm.
Whereas the ultimate at the very end was a little bit, it's like, okay, here's where we're over the top. This is the action thriller thing. This is where, Harrison Ford is the president on an airline and shoots somebody, and it's Gary Oldman and hey, get off my plane attitude. But I thought overall entertaining, very fun. I enjoyed the film. I highly recommend that you guys go see it if you haven't watched it, but take it with a grain of salt, obviously, because a lot of things it's not going to be 100% perfect. So if I gave it a rating, I would give it about an 82 as far as like action adventure and entertaining wise for me.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not a huge, like, I like Edgar Wright's movies, but I'm not like fixed on Edgar Wright as a filmmaker. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go into it with that expectation. I just went into it as a fan of the novel,
Correct.
and saying, well, in seeing from the trailers and what people had said, that it was a much better adaptation
Of the book.
of the book, that I really wanted to go see it. And I had almost forgotten that it was going to get released. So I'm glad you messaged me about it, because I didn't even realize it was in the theaters. But no, it was, like I said, there's a few little nitpicks of things, but, and yeah, you could nitpick the crap out of the stuff on the
Yeah,
airplane, and like, if it was high enough for the cabin to depressurize so that she would fly out, that means other things would be flying out of the door as well.
exactly.
There's a whole bunch of things we could nitpick about it. The fact that it was remote piloted, which that was pretty cool. And I will say, I love what is it? What am I thinking of? It altered my expectation, because when I saw that there was an airplane
Mm-hmm.
scene from the trailers, I thought, oh, they're going to have him crash it into a building. Because I thought, man, that's going to be problematic, and
Yeah,
we can't have that in this day and age, a plane crashing into a building. That's just bad form. And so I was glad they didn't do that. But it was cool they addressed that kind of thought of, he was going to do that, and then no, they're going to shoot it down before he's able to fly it into
Yeah.
the building. So I thought that was a cool little like I said, to take away my expectations of it, I thought was really, really cool. But no, I'm right there with you. I liked it. I don't know what score I would give it out of 100. Probably around the same 80
Hmm.
something. It's not perfect. Obviously, there's very few films are. There's not a lot of perfect films out there. There's a couple of them, but that people will debate about. But no, I enjoyed it. I can't wait to watch it again at some point. I just wish they had given us more at the end. I really wish they had given us something more, because I thought they missed an opportunity there that could have been really well. Another scene I really liked. I liked the fact when all of the AI and the deep fake stuff that they used, I thought was really, really cool. And that's definitely, a metaphor for today of what the things they're able to do. They were able to alter his recording. And that one woman,
Yes.
she threw him out of her house because she believed what she saw on the TV. And then the same with the Amelia Williams, the hostage, when she realized that she was even being recorded and they were doing a deep fake on her, that making her out. So
Yep.
that was really cool. Very, very definitely a sign of the times today of the whole deep fake stuff. But yeah, I'd highly recommend it. If we haven't given you enough reasons to go watch this movie, please go watch it, check it out.
Yeah.
Like I said, I thought it was great. I'm going to try to, if it stays in the theaters long enough. It probably won't, with the
Yeah.
holidays coming up, but if it stays in the theaters long enough, I'm going to try to go see it again, just so I get that big screen experience of it.
Yep. Awesome. Those were our thoughts about the film so far. The only thing left on our podcast that we generally do is like to give you interesting facts or unknown facts about the film. So I was able to find and secure some information in there. So, Steve, you want to start us off with Easter eggs and references?
Yeah, of course. The first one, we all should have noticed it as soon as they showed the Arnold Schwarzenegger Easter egg of him being on some sort of printed money in that universe. I thought was just hilarious to see that. I thought was great. So yeah, that little Easter egg calling back to, and they didn't even really reference it. They didn't say his name. They just show you. They just show the bills up on the screen, and as long as you know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is, you're gonna catch it, and you're gonna. I love it. You don't have it listed here, but the other thing I noticed was the way they got them into, the way they let them out of the building was the same way they were shot into the game grid in those little tube kind of things where they had to hold on. That was a direct reference to the Schwarzenegger version where they shot them in the Schwarzenegger film where they shot them into the game grid here. I thought that was really cool. And of course they all get to the end of their tubes and it's completely empty. All they have is a change of clothes and their backpack with their stuff on it. But those are the two that I noticed, but go ahead with the rest that you got on here.
The next one
or
will
we'll go back and forth, I guess.
Yeah, we will. Stephen King's Blessing. So Stephen King approved the casting of Glenn Powell as Ben Richards after seeing him in Hitman 2023. And the author also reportedly enjoyed this version, finding it truer to his original novel than the 1987 adaptation, which I wholly agree with too, by the way.
Totally. Director's intent. Director Edgar Wright wanted to make this movie for a long time, having mentioned it in a Twitter AMA back in 2017. So he's been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people did. This would probably be one of those films that I've read the book before I saw the original film and then saying, hey, I would want it to be at least closer, truer to the original novel. Next up would be a tribute to the original cast. So actress Katie O'Brien, who played Laughlin in the 87
This
film.
is where I would say this is where we need to either edit this or figure this out.
Well, edit that out.
Yeah, how do you want to word this? Because it's worded poorly.
Okay.
Katie O'Brien, I can kind of do it, I think.
Good.
Actress Katie O'Brien, who plays Laughlin in this version, is a callback to the Yaphet, I believe it was Yaphet Kotto, who played Laughlin in the 1987 film. And apparently they did film a new scene for her character's death, but it was originally not shown. She's the one who gets blowtorched by the two the two kids. And I kind of suspected as soon as they showed that scene in the movie of those two kids, of her crashing her car, and the two kids just blowtorching it from the dark, I was like, that seems fake to me. So I hope, like, I was like, that seems fake to me, because they cut away from her. So I wonder if maybe we do get a director's cut or an alternate thing that we get to see more, because I thought her character was great. And I loved, when they did that whole thing. We didn't talk about this when the prophet guy is telling him there's always three types of characters. There's the what did he call the first one? The idiot, or the nincompoop, whatever, the idiot who just goes around and doesn't pay any attention to the cameras and gets killed.
That's the first
right
guy
away.
Gets killed, right?
The first guy, the idiot. Then there's the negative guy, which was her partying and doing some things, but kind of trying to stay so public that they couldn't kill her, and then there's him, the final guy, which he would be the final guy. I thought that was a great description of the three different kind of characters. But yeah, I wish we'd seen more of her and more of the hostage girl at the end too. So
yep. We have a little bit more production and trivia. So director Edgar Wright's Rebel Choice. During filming in the UK, assistant director Richard Graysmark wore an Arsenal FC shirt as a rebellion against the Tottenham Hotspur staffed film crew. Yeah, bad idea. Sorry, I follow soccer, especially British soccer. Oh, oof, which led them asking the crew to leave after filming. I believe it too. Wow.
Yeah. Those soccer hooligans, you got to watch out. Or football hooligans, or whatever you're going to call them. This is an interesting one. We kind of already talked about this one a little bit, that the film is based on Stephen King's 1982 novella, which correctly predicted the rise of reality TV. So yeah, he wrote that in 82. The film came out in 87. And here we are, 30 years later, and reality TV has become almost the normal.
Yeah. Director Edgar Wright's approach, the 2025 adaptation is intended to be a much more faithful take to the source material than the 1987 film, which it is. It's actually closer to what you possibly can. Very similar to the Sci-Fi Channel's version of The Shining that King actually favors more than the original version that came out in the early 80s with Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard he was not a big fan of that version, even though the director is super famous and his name is escaping me right now.
I know. Same here.
That's horrible. Stanley Kubrick.
There you go.
There it is. I was like, no, it's a super famous director. Just like Edgar Wright is super famous. This next one, we've already talked about the Easter egg about the new dollar bills, and that this was a better adaptation of of King's, and had King's blessing. So we kind of already talked about those things. So,
all right. That's about it for anything that was, interesting facts or unknown facts of the film. But we can move on to quotes if you have any, Steve. I don't know.
The only one I loved that, I loved the stop freaking filming me.
From Ben Richards.
That he says it, Ben Richards. And then I love also that that she said it, that Amelia Williams says the same thing as she's being pulled out, as she's, flying. She gets pulled out of the plane and there's a camera following her in her descent, that she says, "Stop filming me." So I thought that was great. Yeah. So that's the only one that I remember. And just the only other quote that they didn't use that I thought would have been kind of cool, but maybe it was a little over the top, would have been when Coleman Domingo's character asks him for his final words if he had said, "I'll be back." I think that would have been cool, instead of just saying "F off." I don't know. Maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger's got a copyright on that
I'll
phrase.
be back.
I don't know, but he says it in the Running Man movie. He says it, and then at the end he told you I'd be back. So I was really hoping to get that line out of Glenn Powell, but that's okay.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned all those cool quotes that I was going to bring up, but it's fine. And that's the funny thing. It's like this isn't really a highly quotable film. in a
Yeah, there
sense.
wasn't a lot.
There's
Yeah.
really not a lot. As far as like feedback for the episode for this particular film, we did put something out there. We didn't receive anything, but if you have any thoughts or anything, you could always send that out at a later point. We'll tell you soon on how to do that. As far as the overall coverage of the film, we're pretty much complete. And with that, we're just going to go, where else can listeners hear you, or any podcast recommendations, Steve?
Of course, as we've already talked about, this is the Adrenaline Cinema podcast, but obviously Mark and I can be heard, or we can both be heard on the Panels to Pixels podcast. We do almost weekly. I say almost, but we've had, man, we're closing in on 400 episodes, aren't we? Like 300 and something, 380 something. I think we're at.
I don't know the
Panels
actual
to
count.
Pixels podcast. I have to look at my phone. I could tell you. Because I've got it, I download it every week on my phone, so I can tell you right now.
Wow.
Just give me a second, as this is so exciting for people to listen to, I'm sure. Panels to Pixels. Scroll down.
It's at least 320.
No, I'm saying you're right. 320. You were exactly you hit it on the head. 320.
Oh, wow.
We are the Gen V episode 1 and 2 review was episode 320. So we're doing great on Panels to Pixels podcast. So I absolutely love it. I love doing this podcast with you also, occasionally dropping in for the adrenaline heads out there.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, nothing in particular, just the normal stuff that we always try to plug. We try to plug our friends' podcasts at Podcastica Network. All the stuff they do is great. I was just listening to Karen and Jason are covering Pluribus. For I believe it's both on the House Podcastica and the Wax Episodic, which is the Patreon feed podcast. But they're killing it over there. If you haven't watched Pluribus, I'll
highly recommend it.
Highly recommend Pluribus. The TV show is outstanding.
Yeah.
What about you, Mark?
As far as me, well, if we'd be here for days if I actually started recommending more people. TV podcast industries, as always, Run for Your Lives, that could be found on Podcastica. Still Slaying a Buffyverse podcast with Penny and Kara. All that stuff you can find on podcastica.com for them. But definitely on what we do here as well on Pirate Core Entertainment. Check out what's on tonight with Becky and Mandy, and they're currently covering it. Welcome to Derry. So check them out and check out their coverage on that. They're doing very well with that, and I love to hear what they have to give. I have to edit that every week, everybody, just to get it out to you a little bit, to some degree, not that much. Becky does a lot. I would say she does about 98% of the work. So I can't really take any credit of that. Then you got Mandy, who does Dinner for Her, and check that out. We will be covering, of all things, Frankenstein 2025 that was out on Netflix. Mandy and myself, and Mandy has covered Mary Shelley on Dinner for Her. So check out that episode before you listen to us on Adrenaline Cinema podcast when we do Frankenstein, because there's going to be references to Mary Shelley, the previous versions of Frankenstein, whether it be the James Whale version, Kenneth Branagh, and a whole bunch of others throughout history of the versions of Frankenstein are out there, or his adaptations or being within it, the Karloff or the Lugosi version. So check that out, and then also
you can always check out Abbott and Costello's version too.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. I was going to say, I love that. I do love the Abbott and Costello, and that's got Karloff in it too, by the way. Anyhow, you can check that out there too as well. There's still episodes for Fantasy Picks Movie Edition, so it's still out there on Spotify. I keep telling this to Rob, but you could also check out on the Pirate Core Entertainment podcast, our interview with our friend Adam Gonzalez, and we talk about his short film The Raven, with him and the cast of his short film, which has been nominated for several independent film festivals, and it's still going there. So if you go to these film festivals, you'll be able to find him, and you could say, "Hey, Mark told me to say hi," or vote for it and see if he could win. And I really would love to see Adam win. He's very, very much talented, and I want to see him do better and do more work. So check that out. The Pirate Core Entertainment podcast. I've already mentioned about feedback before. All you have to go is to our Facebook group, which would be facebook.com/Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. You can just leave, I already left an image there and saying, hey, this is what we're covering. Just leave your thoughts in the comments below of that image of what we're doing, which would be here of what we're covering, The Running Man. And if you feel like you don't want to do that, you could just send a message through Facebook Messenger, and we'll get that just the same. What's on Facebook will be on Instagram too. So put in comments below. You could email us, adrenalinecinema podcast@gmail.com. Write out your thoughts and we'll read them. It doesn't necessarily have to be for when we're actually doing the podcast. We already did this one, but we will bring it up on the next podcast that we do and say, hey, this is what they had to say. Or you can record yourself and send that as an attachment and we'll play it. And it's as if you will be on the podcast as well. And we love to hear your voice. We could be heard on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, TuneIn, or whatever podcast player of choice. Obviously, there is some sort of rating or review for podcasts, like for Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please do so. We do get feedback through that, as well as YouTube. So we are on YouTube as well. Adrenaline Cinema Podcast on YouTube. So check that out, and please give us a 5 stars. It's always welcome. But I always tell everybody, be honest, have fun, and I always do that. Check out all the other podcasts, like I stated before, on the PirateCoreEntertainment.com website. Give them a little bit of love, follow them, do everything that's there. All the links are there. And, well, that's about it. Anything else that you have to offer, Steve?
No, that's it. I think you pretty much covered everything.
Awesome. Cool.
Those that are still awake.
Yeah, exactly, right? Me rambling on. Anyhow.
That's all right.
As I like to say, I want to thank everybody for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And we'll catch you the next time we change the reel. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Happy Thanksgiving, all.